as part of an RDM-related project that Spark did a year ago, we did a literature review of what every major field within social sciences was talking about related to RDM. And the thing that we found was that some fields that have a lot of quantitative research were fully bought in, and in fact were leaders within RDM. Economics, political science, to a lesser extent sociology, you were already seeing RDM filtering into expectations in journals, being commonly written about within the literature. Then you get into social work, anthropology, religious studies, labor studies, and other fields, and you did not see nearly either the volume of conversation around research data management or the uniformity of determination that this was a good thing.
I think in the social sciences, we have a pretty good idea and a pretty good set of norms that have emerged around research data management for quantitative social science. I think where we're less agreed is on what it means to have robust practices around reproducibility and documentation of qualitative research. And I think part of that has to do with the sometimes sensitive nature of the evidence that's involved, but also, even more importantly, the nuance that interpretation requires in qualitative research. So it makes it hard to imagine how interpretation can kind of be reproduced or replicated across different researchers, which then leads to some resistance or questioning of the value of sharing data, trying to make your research reproducible if you're doing qualitative research.
And we've seen in a number of disciplines, particularly in STEM and health sciences and social sciences, especially economics, this trend towards data sharing as a response to the reproducibility crisis. A number of articles in economics and social psychology, but also in chemistry, in biology, have talked about how not all research can be reproduced or replicated. And one of the responses that we've seen to that is more sharing of data so that other researchers can verify research results. Now, of course, not all data can be shared or should be shared, but I think the collectively as academia and through all the fields, researchers are grappling with this challenge of not only how to share data, but wrapping their minds around the fact that this is something that's changing and that they're going to have to share data in the future.
When you are working with qualitative, post-qualitative, community-engaged research projects, there is very real complexity around sharing of data. And I think because research data management came out of a movement for transparency in research and openness in research, many people who do qualitative and mixed methods research that are being entrusted with people's stories and with very vulnerable experiences were saying, I'm fine doing an analysis and sharing that, but who am I and what right do I have to put people's stories out there for other people to use in whatever way they want? That feels like an ethical wrong in my epistemology. And I think many of the researchers that feel that way, it's right. They're right. The challenge is that that's not all of what RDM is about.
They may not have to share data that they have now, but at some point they're going to run into the situation where either a funder or a journal or an external partner or someone is going to ask them to share their data and say, if you don't do this, there's going to be a real consequence. And so if you're not prepared for this moving forward, you're going to run into consequences. You know, journals might retract articles, funders might withdraw funding, data, you know, partners that are providing data might not want to work with you anymore.
That research data management and even openness and transparency is about a whole lot more than just putting data out there for other researchers to use. And so we became really interested in how do you talk about research data management within fields where the dominant narrative about what research data management is feels fundamentally ethically opposed to how you work.
This series is brought to you by SPARK, a Center for Social Research Innovation.